Hello, everybody, and welcome here to the Sports Talking Network. And welcome here specifically to Talking Packers with Steve. We'll be reviewing the divisional round of the playoffs and also talking about head coaching, main head coach vacancy that has been established and has been filled, and that being the Dallas Cowboys and Mike McCarthy going there. So, without further ado, let me welcome my co-host, Russ. Good evening, Russ. How you doing?
Doing really well considering the news that happened earlier in the day, or I guess a couple days ago, but it was officially official today. So I'm doing well.
Good, good. And let's just jump right into it. I'll let you have the floor since it is your franchise, your team, the team you root for. And yeah, let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys and their decision, and then making it official with the press conference today, which we both saw on different networks. Um, Mike McCarthy being introduced as the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, just overall, I'm really happy with the decision to hire Mike McCarthy. I it was obvious that Dallas they wanted somebody with an extensive track record, somebody with like a bunch of head coaching experience. They brought in Marvin Lewis as well, the Bengals head coach, and I would have been really upset if they had hired Marvin Lewis because that's a lateral move from Jason Garrett. I mean, Jason Garrett and Marvin Lewis are essentially the same person in my opinion. Um, just they just coach for different teams, but I mean, again, I mean, Mike McCarthy is just he's won at the highest level. He's the Super Bowl champion, and I mean, a lot of that was Aaron Rodgers. I'm not gonna say like, oh, it was all McCarthy. No, he had a Hall of Fame quarterback, top five quarterback of all time on his team. But McCarthy knows how to win, and I think that's the most important part right now. I mean, Dallas has to find a way to win with the talent they do have. Like I said last week, they won over this past decade. They won in spite of Jason Garrett. The talent they had on the team was just so good they were able to overcome a lackluster head coach. So I hope that Mike McCarthy is going to be he's going to bring enough to the table that he pushes Dallas kind of over the top in the NFC, and we can be competing for NFC Championship games hopefully for many more years to come. It was a 5-year contract, so it's a big commitment, and I hope that he has a really successful time. I'm certainly happy that he's no longer coaching the Packers, and that was actually part of one of the reasons why Jerry and Steven wanted to hire McCarthy was because they respected him a ton because Packers kept beating the Cowboys in this decade. So yeah, I'm really happy with the hire, and I'm excited to see all the different coaches he brings in, and yeah, that's pretty much the gist of my thoughts on McCarthy getting hired.
And for me, on my end of the side, and they even referenced it a little bit during the press conference. Mike McCarthy, former Green Bay Packer head coach, faced the Dallas Cowboys. Held guns in the past, beat them. They talked about the Dez, the Dez play.
Yeah, I saw
Um,
that. That was good. I like that part.
yeah. But as a Packer fan and as a Mike McCarthy supporter, I tweeted out that I really was hoping he was going to land a job. I don't care if it was the last one or the very first one, whatever. I was hoping he got a second chance. I think he deserved it. I can judge, or we all can judge, obviously, whether a Cowboy fan or not, how he does as head coach of now the Cowboys or whatever team he was to be hired by, like I hoped. Um, but I felt he kind of was robbed and duped and other adjectives, I guess, in that light in Green Bay, and it was unfortunate. And now here in Dallas, hopefully he can reinvent himself and be able to be that better coach he says to be, and with the times, and here in the new decade, and this and that. So, and I'm sure Cowboy fans obviously want that too. So, but even me as a Packer fan, that's first as a Packer fan. But second, as a Mike McCarthy supporter, as a former Packer head coach, as a head coach that won or got us to as the coach to a Super Bowl. Aaron and the team won the game, of course. The players do. But still, a Super Bowl winning head coach. And I feel he deserves a little bit more respect than he's been getting since his leaving that final year. Blah blah blah. So I'm ready to see how he does, and I'm looking forward to seeing how Mr. McCarthy does. Mike McCarthy. It'd be nice to see him on the sidelines again. We don't play them this year because we played them this season. So I think it'll be another 4 years till we play Dallas. So that works out in that way, right? The timing of all that, but specifically, it was good. Though with the press conference, it looked a little. He looked. I don't know. Like it's one of those. It seemed like he was uncomfortable, or moments of that. Or maybe that's just how he is. So, um, and plus, was watching other introductory press conferences of head coaches and how they're like Freddie Kitchens, if you saw that one, or others, that are so demonstrative or whatever, and they're they're going to turn the franchise around, or make this team great again, sort of thing. Where with Mike's was more subdued. I mean, unless I missed that moment, but I mean, it's more subdued, more jokes, more whatever. Like the only serious tone in regards to, um, I would call it political or franchise speak in football was from Jerry Jones or the Joneses. Um, but not like Mark didn't say anything of substance. He said a lot of substance. It's just I don't know. That's the vibe I got. I enjoyed it. Happy he's a head coach, but from that end, I got that vibe of like, is he just uncomfortable because Jerry Jones right next to him? He doesn't want um, to get chewed out for saying something or not. I don't, sort of thing over your shoulder, which is never good moving forward anywhere in any job. So it just seemed a little uncomfortable in moments. I don't know. Was I am I overthinking, overanalyzing? You didn't notice anything at all? Like, how would you thought of the actual press conference? Just beyond of the words said.
The one thing that I noticed, I thought that Mike and Jerry Jones, they were starting to have like a good relationship. Like they were joking back and forth a ton during the press conference. There were a bunch of jokes and laughter from the press conference, more than I would expect. Like they had Mike McCarthy said that when he was interviewing, like that he said to Jerry that he had watched all the plays of the Cowboys the previous season, but he said no, and then in the press conference said no, I didn't. I just really wanted the job. Like I thought that was kind of unusual for like an introductory press conference for a head football coach. And then, like you mentioned, the Des catch, that question came up. Um, he joked a little bit there. I felt uh, like him and Jerry. I feel like they're on good ground right now. Like they have a good starting relationship. I feel like, and that's really important. I think. Other than that, I don't really watch press conferences all that much, so I can't really cross reference anything to something I've seen previously. But I thought they were comfortable, I guess maybe with each other a little bit, at least starting so, and I hope that leads into a good relationship for the future because I mean Jerry's the owner and he's the GM and he's the president and supreme overlord of the Dallas Cowboys, so it's important that the head coach and Jerry are on the same page, and I think at least from what we saw, that's starting to form.
Yeah, like I said, like from the joking, from everything, it seemed like maybe he was uncomfortable, so we went to jokes or this and that. Like I was talking about maybe
Mhm.
the over the shoulder thing with Jerry,
Yeah,
but
and everybody deals with the stress and pressure and uncomfortable situations, like speaking in public. Like everybody deals with it differently. Maybe that's just his style. I wouldn't know, but it's just something that stood out to me.
and that's fine too. I mean, he kind of was that way sometimes in Packer press conferences. Um, but it's um, it's good to see though from what you were saying because I didn't think of it, and the fact of with the jokes, maybe it is their relationship already being strengthened in regards to why Jerry was so quick to pull that trigger to hire him. Um, and then the other side of things brought up by other media members in regards to, how the relationship's going to work there. Is he just another puppet of Jerry's or whatever, another head coach that he can just manipulate like he kind of did with Jason? So hopefully it's not the case. Hopefully Mike actually be able to, and it seems like able to um, bring in his own coaches that he wants. Um, and maybe still keep some, but still at least have the actual authority and power as a head coach to be able to do so, and not decisions being made by Jerry, but him saying the decision, sort of thing. Him just being the figurehead in a sense, in position. But either way, I'm looking forward to how all that goes down, and how the seasons go, or not seasons go, but the season next season goes for the franchise. There it was great again. Like I said, seeing him, it was nice seeing him on a sideline again. Whatever logo, whatever team, whatever franchise he's part of. So visually, it might look weird to me, but in general, I'm happy. And that's all that matters. He's happy. He's where he wants to be, and look forward to success for him in Dallas. Actually, I do want that. Um, maybe as a Packer fan, maybe not too much, but still, in the NFC. But in general, success for him, for the Cowboys. I'm sorry, but either way, it certainly will be interesting. Now, you had saying to me on Twitter a few days ago, or whatever that was, in regards to, or maybe yesterday, when you said you were watching in regards to people's reactions, or new reactions on news, or whatever you were watching on whatever media platform you were watching. So at that moment, whether you already formed your own opinion before or before those times of watching said stuff, what were your thoughts at that point in regards to the decision after hearing from those that you heard from?
Yeah, I was watching. It was a couple days ago on NFL Network, and NFL Network has James Jones as an analyst, a former Packer receiver, and he was just talking about how he liked McCarthy a lot, and he thought it would be a good fit in Dallas. And hearing that, from a former Packer, I think is extremely, extremely important. And then Devontae Adams, the current receiver for the Packers, and he was also there when McCarthy was still there, and he tweeted out something, tweeting something in sports like "Good on Mike McCarthy, happy to see him get a new job," something along those lines. And so, especially for the receivers and some offensive players, and then of course Randall Cobb, of course, current Cowboy, former Packer under McCarthy. Randall Cobb was at the press conference today, and he was the first person that kind of publicly. First, like Cowboy to kind of publicly say anything to reporters, and he was really happy about it. So hearing offensive players speak well about Mike McCarthy is extremely important, because he likes to call the offensive plays. He's an offensive-minded guy, and it's important that the offensive guys get along with him. And so that was just my initial thing. Like, I was glad to see the offensive players speak well about him. And Dallas has some great receivers, great offensive weapons. So if Mike McCarthy and those guys can gel, like Dallas had a top 5 offense this year, they'll probably have a top 5 offense next year, of course, pending Dak Prescott and Amari Cooper's contracts. But that's a whole nother segment on a whole nother show we can get into later. So I'll just stick with McCarthy, and just it was great to see him getting votes of confidence from his former players.
And already being talked about, since this is at least still talking about Mike McCarthy, not about the upcoming season, because again we'll talk about that when we get to late August, early September, with that first episode for the new season. But for right now, talking about the head coaches that were brought up at the press con, or not head coaches, but coaches brought up at the press conference, being reported for his positional coaches and who to keep. So from that news, from what you've heard, again, previous and from today, how are you feeling on him, Mike McCarthy, your new head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, selecting or thinking of selecting certain coaches for certain now uh, open positions within his staff.
Yeah, so the big one that was in the news was whether or not Dallas was going to keep their current OC Kellen Moore, and it looks like they are. And I think that's a big plus. I really like Kellen Moore this year. He took the offense into, I guess, in a modern era from Scott Linehan from earlier in the decade. So I'm really glad that he's keeping Kellen Moore. He was the one guy that I really wanted him to keep. I guess another one would be Chris Richard, the defensive coordinator, defensive backs coach, something like that. I know Richard is in demand for other defensive coordinator positions. I know Dallas is interested in bringing him back, but I'm not sure that Mike McCarthy will want him back. I guess I'm indifferent about it. Dallas's defense definitely took a step back this year from Richard's first year 2 years ago. So I wouldn't be too upset to see Richard go, although I think him staying could help continuity and stuff like that. But I'm sure McCarthy knows more than I am, or McCarthy knows more than I do. And other than that, I think McCarthy's mostly going to bring in his own people, which I think is a good thing in general, so that all the coaches are on the same page. Mike can have the guys that he trusts, that he feels confident in, and he's not forced to keep leftovers from the Jason Garrett era. So, I mean, in general, I'm pretty happy with Kellen Moore staying. I think that's important. If those two can get along, McCarthy and Moore, I think the offense is going to be in great shape. It's going to be interesting to see who the defensive guys are. I have no idea who they're targeting. I could probably read up on that later, but I it's a wait and see, I suppose, since I haven't heard anything official. But on the offensive side, that's the most important side for me. And keeping Kellen Moore, yeah, that's really good to hear.
Yeah, I was actually hoping that in regards to, in regards to Kellen Moore, I really thought he should. I wouldn't say, I don't know if calling it a second chance, but getting a chance in regards with the new regime, with the new head coach there. I did want him to be retain his services. So that in its own right is awesome, and glad to hear in regards to how things are going to be, or at least for him, I guess. Staying there in Dallas, being able to do it all over again here for this upcoming season for the Cowboys. When we get to the 2020 season, 2020-2021 season. So yeah, well, that is pretty much it in regards to the Dallas Cowboys, in regards to that in their coaching hire. The only team left to get a coach or find a coach is the Cleveland Browns. The Carolina Panthers selected a college coach to be their next head coach. The Washington team is already um, selected and introduced their new head coach Ron Rivera, coming from Carolina. So last but not least is Cleveland. So the last thing to ask you in regards to the coaching carousel period, is your thoughts or your quick thoughts on other hires, and who do you think is what is Ross's best pick? Who do you think should be the next coach of the Cleveland Browns?
Oh gosh, I don't even know who the candidates are. I guess I don't know, I've heard people talking about like how Cleveland's like one of the better jobs, like of the openings that were had this year, that Cleveland was one of the better ones. I humbly disagree, as I am clearly biased towards my own team, but um, I don't even know who the candidates are. I wasn't really following Cleveland's situation too closely. Um, yeah, that's a terrible answer. I'm sorry, but I haven't been following it that closely, so I don't want to make anything up.
No, hey, no, that's fine. I respect that. I'd rather have that than just throw something to a wall or just say something because you feel like you have to. So no, that's perfectly fine. I think what I would want in regards to the Cleveland Browns, in regards to coaches still available or at least showing availability, and also deservosity, even though that's not a word, but deserves to be a head coach. Of course, in regards to with the Patriots and their coach there, who well, not head coach but coach, who name slipped my mind, but him who was supposed to interview for the Giants. Um,
Josh McDaniels, the offensive.
oh yeah, thank you, Josh McDaniels. I think Josh McDaniels, if he
Mhm.
actually can be lured to Cleveland, would be a great pickup. I wish he would have been a great pickup if he actually stayed and made a decision to go to Indianapolis the other season. I think Josh McDaniels, I think, um, would be the number one. Would be the one that I think would be the best one to be the next head coach of the Cleveland Browns. I mean, with all the other like not any are high known in regards to candidates, they're not getting any other ones from college. They're not that it's not that big of a job to get like it would have been to become a Dallas Cowboy head coach to try to lure college coaches like Urban Meyer and others to coach them. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying the odds of that is low. So for me, my answer would be Josh McDaniels. Obviously, that subsides, and if Josh would ever be interested, let alone for an interview or two, take the job. Because as we learned, he's not just going to take nothing, or he's not just going to take anything. So, um, it has to be a perfect fit for him to leave New England. But with everything going on in New England now, it might be a Titanic kind of situation. Have to jump ship and not get on sinking with the ship. So I think that's going to be the case, and I kind of hope that Eric Bieniemy is someone else that's on my radar. I do hope he gets a real interview. I'll just put it that way with the Cleveland Browns franchise. But I think one of those two. I think those two. That should be no one now. There wouldn't be anybody that's totally surprised me and shocks me like OMG, WTF moments. But I think those two I would be the most satisfied to hear announced and breaking news selected as the new head coach of the Cleveland Browns. Josh McDaniels or Eric Bieniemy are my top two, and we'll see how that all goes. The next topic to talk about before we get into the playoffs, because as much as the playoffs should matter, because games are actually being played and teams that are actually able to win the Super Bowl are playing. But the other thing I want to talk about is Mr. Tom Brady. Mr. Tom Brady and his future in the NFL, his future with the New England Patriots, his future, period. Ross, do you think he's going to stay in New England? Or do you think, with him saying on Instagram that he has much to prove and much left in the tank, that he should at least search out his options of other places to go?
I think it would be really, really surprising if Brady went and played for another team. I don't think it would be surprising if he came back to the Patriots on like a 1 or 2 year deal just to, I guess, A, play another season, and B, it gives the Patriots another year to find and or develop another quarterback. I mean, by all accounts, Brady's not a horrible quarterback. I mean, he's average now, I think. He's certainly not a top quarterback anymore because of his age, but he's average, he's serviceable, and with the receiving options that the Patriots had this year, they did a pretty good job given that, I mean, everybody was hurt at one point and their offense just really never got going. Now, whether you put the blame on Brady, and if that's your decision, if it's Brady's fault and it's not the receivers and the running backs and whoever, then maybe your opinion is different. Maybe you think Brady's washed and he's done and all that. But I think he has enough in the tank, I think, for 1 more year. And I think that's probably what's going to happen because the other two quarterbacks on the Patriots depth chart are Cody Kessler and Jarrett Stidham. And I mean, I know Cody Kessler isn't very good, and I only think Jarrett Stidham, I feel like he came into a game once and like a regular season game and like threw a pick six on like his first or second drive out there. So I don't remember.
That,
Did he?
yes. No, I just was going to say that. Yes, that he did, but I do remember watching him in the preseason. I thought, and I had the same thoughts of Mr. Jared Stidham. Plus, I also, I'm going to be totally honest here. Most broadcasters maybe aren't, but totally honest in regards to I did see his draft day, his moment sort of thing, getting the call and everything, and just felt the connection to him in that way, even though I don't know the man, obviously. So I was really rooting for him. I'm hoping for him to do well and show out when he can in the preseason, of course, and that's what he did. And he kind of gave me thoughts of the guy that oh, I'm bad at names today, but the guy that was our former backup quarterback in Green Bay. I thought we should have kept him. Maybe should have got rid of Brett Hundley and have him. But now he's with the Saints, being like a triple threat duo guy that literally is doing everything for the Saints.
Taysom
Uh,
Hill.
yeah, Taysom Hill. Thank you. Taysom Hill, and I was getting my Taysom Hill vibes with Jared Stidham watching him in the preseason. Now, not because of him being versatile in other positions, but him as an actual quarterback. Again, that's preseason, third stringers. He did come in the game in the regular season against number one on defenses and throwing a pick six. But I feel with them making that decision, right, making the decision that okay, he'll be the number one quarterback if Brady leaves. That they groom him, blah blah blah, all that. That I think he can be made into a serviceable to good quarterback in the NFL for the New England Patriots. So I think that's just for me in regards to evaluating Mr. Stidham. So um, I still get what you mean. The dynasty really would be over if that was the case. Um, Patriots would be lucky to win that division then. Maybe the Bills would be the new team in town. But still, Bills have things to prove too. They're not just gonna, they're just not going to take over if Brady leaves or whenever the dynasty ends. Like it's just not automatic that the Buffalo Bills are going to be winning the division now 6 years in a row like New England did. I don't think that's the case. They have a better chance, obviously, but still, either way, I do think Brady's going to get a comeback. And I know New England's going to do their darndest to try to keep him, obviously, as they should. For landing spots for him, I see maybe the LA Chargers, or would be really crazy if he went to the Miami Dolphins or the Tennessee Titans or the Detroit Lions. Wherever there was, or there is, former Bill Belichick disciple, as they call him, or as it's called, and link up with them. I mean, if you go to Detroit, you have Danny Amendola. He's in Detroit, right? I was gonna say that.
Yes.
Yeah, you link up with him and your coach. So, so I think those were good. I think those would be landing spots for him. And really, if you want to make a splash, I think the best landing spot, again, I'm just saying my own pipe dream because I think this would be great for the organization. The Jacksonville Jaguars. I like Gunnar Minshew. That dude's cool. Foles can kick rocks. But I think if you have a chance, obviously, if you have a chance to Tom Brady, you're going to jump on that. It's no brainer. Just like if Aaron Rodgers came up available and not happy with Green Bay or something or whatever the situation would be, you're going to pursue, as all 31 should. But I would enjoy if he went there. Another dream one would be, in a sense, for a franchise like the Arizona Cardinals, but they have their man because they drafted. But I'm just saying, if Larry Fitzgerald wants to stay one more year, Arizona tells them we're going to push hard, or Larry go push hard for him. And they get it done, and Tom goes there and proves it and takes the world by storm again. His own revenge tour in a different way. That would be. I would want that more for Larry than for Tom in that one. But again, that's not going to happen. They have their quarterback. But I think those two would be my, crazy world thinking. But either way, I think Miami and LA is my honest ones, more so than even Detroit. But it shall be interesting, as it always is, to see how that goes with free agents, period, let alone big one like Tom Brady being technically available. So we'll see how long availability, or how long he'll actually be available, and what teams actually do pursue. Because as much as I say all 31 should, Some won't because they have their quarterbacks for one, but for two, they may be a little worried that he might not want to talk to you. You can't get anything in life. You can't win any contest that you want to win or you think would be cool to win if you don't enter it. You have a 0% chance to win that if you do not enter, right? Even if you enter, yeah, the odds are low, blah, 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 things, but you can't win anything if you don't enter. So you want to enter, at least try to reach out and see if he would do an interview, let alone show interest. Then you do your due diligence, you do your job, and you go from there. So that's my advice to the NFL teams that don't have their already franchise quarterback. All right, with all that fun stuff being said, we can finally, 31 minutes into the show, can talk about the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. The four teams that have been waiting to play, they're ready to play, I think. I hope. They better. We don't want to have the four teams on a bye. And I'm not just saying this as a Packer fan, I'm saying this in general. We don't want the four teams on a bye to lay an egg. To lay an egg losing by 30 or lay an egg losing by 1 point in the last second. Either way, I don't think the NFL wants that, nor do I. Before we go into individual games, I do ask you, Ross, heading into this divisional round, how are you feeling about all the home teams?
I think all of the home teams have a really, really good shot to win this week. There are a bunch of big favorites. Both of the top teams in the AFC are big favorites this week. Both of them are 10-point favorites according to the Vegas odds makers. And I think they're right about that. The NFC, it's a bit closer, where you have a bit more of an evenly skilled playing field with the Niners and Vikings and the Packers and Seahawks. Those games seem a bit closer to me, but the AFC teams, I think the two teams in the AFC are going to get it done. I think I think there's a potential for one upset in the NFC. We can get to that potentially, but I think the home teams, they're in a pretty good spot here in the divisional round.
Yeah, I think they're pretty well safe, but again, you never know. Play the games. I didn't see Minnesota beating the Saints, so that's why they play the games. You never know until they have played, and it certainly will be interesting to see, especially in a matchup in the AFC side, of how that all works out because I think it can be a lot closer than people think in that matchup, specifically. So that home team you'll be sweating a bit, but either way, I think most of them should be pretty good in regards to being able to win, move on, and go from there. But either way, been right already with the playoffs. And let's go over quickly the wild card round. We have the Houston Texans defeat the Buffalo Bills 22-19. Titans over the Patriots 20-13. Seattle over Philadelphia 17-9. And the Vikings hit a stunner on the Saints 26-20. There for the divisional round, we'll just do this in order. Saturday, our first game, we have the Minnesota Vikings, who stunned the Saints, now trying to really David and Goliath this one and defeat the mighty 49ers. Number one seed, we got the 49ers and Vikings in Santa Clara, California. Ross, how do you see this game going in this one?
I think I'll lean to the 49ers. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I mean, Kirk Cousins really, really impressed me in the last game. I mean, the entire, Vikings offense was far better than I thought. And the defense, it really just shut down, Drew Brees and what the Saints offense was able to do. They really didn't do a whole lot. Did not help me in fantasy. I played a bunch of the Saints in a special fantasy football for the playoffs, and I did not do well. Of course, on the show last week, I said the Saints were my blowout pick of the week, and that could not have been more wrong. But I think I'll lean to the Niners here just because I think their defense is now – I think the team just needed – they needed a week off. Their team was really banged up, and I think a week off really is going to help the defensive side of the ball, get healthier, just kind of reset. I mean, they're the 1 seed; they'll be at home, of course. I think they just really needed that break because they started off really, really well, and then they started to falter a bit in the second half, but were able to hang on. So I think the week off really helped them a lot. And so I think I'll lean slightly to the Niners, although it's probably my least confident pick of the week.
Yeah, for me, I'm going with the 49ers, but you never say never with the Minnesota Vikings franchise. But I'm going to go with the 49ers over the Vikings in a bigger win, but still closer game. 26, 28-20. 49ers over the Vikings. They're kind of pulling away at the end, and however that to end. But 28-20, I have the 49ers winning. Moving right along, we have the Tennessee Titans battling against the Baltimore Ravens. I'll go first here. I have the Ravens over the Titans. Titans' dreams ending. The Ravens over the Titans, 36-20. I just think the Ravens are so too dominant to be defeated really by anybody right now. So I got the Ravens get the win there. Ross, so what say you? How do you see the game going there in Baltimore?
Yep, I like the Ravens here. I just like kind of like you said, they're just the more dominant team. There's really no, way around it. Their running back Mark Ingram is a bit banged up. That'd be like the only thing that concerns me because the Ravens really do rely on their running game, but they've got like a trio of running backs, and then they have Lamar Jackson. So I don't think their running game is going to be hampered at all. This game could be a really quick game. It might be like under 3 hours if both teams just pound the ball. You've got Derrick Henry on the other side who had a monster game, and then the Ravens just run the heck out of the football. So this game could go by really quickly. But I think the Ravens will do more than enough to win this game. Maybe by a touchdown or 10 points, something like that. That's what the line is in Vegas. It's 10. And I think that's about right. I don't see this being a huge blowout because I think Tennessee, they can keep it within striking distance for most of the game, but I don't know if they'll be able to ever overtake Baltimore for significant portions of this game. So I will take the Ravens.
Yeah, makes sense there. Next one, we got the Texans facing up against the Kansas City Chiefs there in Arrowhead. I was happy to see in regards to the performance of J.J. Watt against the Bills, though I did predict the Bills to win the game as a Wisconsin Badgers supporter and fan. Happy for J.J. Watt's his performance and then the team win. Upsets happen. Not all 4 teams are going to automatically win. They earn their spots for a reason, but when you have to play in the wild card, you already played a game. You're feeling high. You're on your own momentum. I'm going to go with the Texans over the Chiefs. Or Titans. Oh, yeah, Texans. Sorry. Texans over the Chiefs. Texans to get the win. The Texans going to get it last second. 23-20. Texans over the Chiefs. Winner, Ross. Who you got and why for the Chiefs Texans game?
Ooh, I think this is probably one of the bigger disagreements we've had all year. I think this is my blowout special. I think the Chiefs completely destroy the Texans for a couple reasons. Andy Reid off of a bye, it's at least a well-known trend in the fantasy community. Andy Reid is incredibly effective when he gets a bye week and playing the teams the next week. He rolls. It's especially the defense that plays really well, not necessarily the offense. And the Kansas City defense is light years better than it was last year. And while the offense still, it can't possibly be as good as it was last year. It's still a top 5 offense with Mahomes and Tyreek Hill and Kelsey. So I don't have any concerns with the offense. The defense is extremely good. I think that's going to roll. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with the Texans and their team. They've clearly got momentum and a really good team. If, like I said last week, if they can get Will Fuller back, that changes their offense completely. We saw it at the beginning of the game last week when the Texans offense just could not do anything. And then Deshaun Watson kind of literally put the team on his back, and he won the game for the Texans in the second half. So I think they would need another Herculean effort from Deshaun Watson to win this game. I don't see it happening. I think the Chiefs roll here.
Yeah, I would say that's a difference of opinion. From one side saying a roll, the other person saying, okay, I see an upset, but by 3 points. Either way, it's a difference, and respect that. Either way, it'll be fun. I mean, yeah, definitely in that way, it's gonna be interesting. But yes, we go to the final game. As they always say, save the best for last. So we've got the Seattle Seahawks heading into the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field, facing the 13-time world champion Green Bay Packers. There in the playoffs, us getting a bye that we desperately needed. But they will save the best for last because this game is going to be a slobber knocker for sure. It's going to be taking hits to each other, sledgehammer shots, whatever. Offenses just going up and down the field. Yeah, that sucks for the defenses, but you got Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. Okay, enough said. So I think we know where I'm going. So we're going to start off, since this is my team playing, as we always do during the season. We'll go with the co-host. We'll go with Ross. Ross, how do you see my Green Bay Packers doing off of a bye, facing the Seahawks, and battling against Russell Wilson?
So this would be the game if I was betting against the spread. I think I would like quite a bit. The Packers are favored by 4 against Seattle. And what that says, it says the Vegas guys pretty much think these are even teams. And I don't really think that's the case, especially in this spot. Like you mentioned, the Packers getting a bye. That was extremely important for them to get the bye. And so at home, off of a bye, and in Seattle, they were playing against Josh McCown last week for pretty much 3/4 of the game. And they're, they really didn't impress me all that much. Like I was waiting for the Eagles to just kind of, just go on one massive drive and take over the game, but it never really happened. They had a couple of shots on 4th down, that maybe if they pick up a 4th down here, maybe it spurs something. Maybe they go into overtime and then who knows. But I really wasn't impressed with Seattle last week when they were in a really favorable situation with the really banged up Eagles. And then Carson Wentz goes down and they really still weren't able to put away Philadelphia. But I mean, and then you have Green Bay on the other side having a bye at home. It's, in my opinion, the 3rd best home field in the NFL. It all just seems like Green Bay is in such a good spot here that I think they're going to win more than the 4 that Vegas is saying. I think a touchdown, 7 to 10 points, kind of like San Francisco. But I think the spot is really good for Green Bay. And Seattle really didn't impress me last week than when they were in a good spot themselves. So I think I will like the Packers here.
All right. Well, for me, I'm going with my Packers. Ride or die with my team. Full support all the time. But as I talked about heading into it, as I talked about during the season, and I'll continue to talk about it, probably might even have a Steve rant next week if we lose, no matter how we lose. But the way we finished off the season playing teams we should have defeated pretty easily and keeping it close and almost losing to both Chicago and Detroit. I know Rodgers brought up in his press conference saying that, hey, win's a win, we'll take it however, and that devilish smile of his. But I don't know. Probably want to slap that smile off his face because you need to get your offense going. You need to get this team right because this is the playoffs now, and that stuff is not going to fly. So get your together and hopefully get done and get the W and get the win and move on and play in the NFC title game. So yes, I'm going with the Packers to defeat the Seattle Seahawks. But my confidence level in us to do that is probably at 40% because of just how we showed actually against the good teams during the regular season in our facing of the 49ers. Yes, I know that's the 49ers. We're not playing the 49ers. Okay, I get that. But still, okay, it showed how much we had to work on. And I don't think we really worked on it. Or maybe we did work on it, but we didn't really fix it from that point. So, um, hopefully, we are playoff ready. We are in a playoff mindset, right? This is a whole new season. I'm not in the mood for jokes, Aaron. Um, get it done, or you'll hear it from me. But either way, I got the Packers getting the win over the Seattle Seahawks in a high scoring, like I said, slobber knocker game, 43-32, and Green Bay getting the win. But I'm nervous about it. And I'm going to be quite honest. If we had to play in the wild card round, I probably would have predicted against them. So, um, either way, get the win, boys. Go Green Bay, and can continue on here with the our rookie head coach. So, yeah, that. No, man. I know I was all talking about best for last, blah blah blah, because it's my Packers and that's cool and stuff. But I really wish we weren't last. I wish we were first.
Get it over with.
Yeah, whether a win or a loss,
Mm.
So we can have the Viking 49er game be last. You never know. That one might be a game to the end sort of thing. Um, but yeah, yeah, I'm going with the Packers, but I just hopefully they show me something there in the start of the game. Otherwise, it might be a long night. But either way, I'll be watching with family, so just enjoy time with them in general as always when watching Packer games with them. So go Pack, go and go from there. I do think again. I know I showed it on social media. Yes, all my social media. The Christmas gift I did get from Caleb, my good friend from Texas, from the Whodunit gaming community world. Um, he got me a Funko Pop of Aaron, so um, that was pretty cool. So I'll have him, my little battle buddy, next to me watching the game. But beyond that, hopefully, maybe the Aaron Funko Pop will be the good luck charm. So that'll do it in regards to predicting. Regards to everything else, a good 15 minutes of broadcasting here today. As always, I do thank Ross for being here. Each week and this week. Hopefully, obviously, to have him next week and the next week because this is the playoffs and just talk about. I just talked about the Packers needing to bring their A game. I got a show to run, so I need to bring my A game. So if I want to bring my A game, I need A plus players. So good to have Ross part of it too. He is an A plus player, so definitely hope to continue to have him if he's available for the next weeks, all the way up to the super duper pooper Super Bowl. So yeah, before we leave, before I ramble in circles, I'll throw it to Ross. Any last thoughts or nuggets to share before we say adieu before the playoff games are played this weekend? Anything else you wish to say as always?
I just hope that this week's games are as exciting as last week's games. I mean, all four of the games last week really were just completely bonkers. And really, like the first game, um, the Bills and Texans, that was just insanity from start to finish. You had the Bills, opening the playoffs with a wide receiver throwing to the quarterback for a touchdown to start the whole thing, and you know, and it just only got better from there. So I hope that these games are as entertaining as last week's games. But other than that, it's been another fun show talking football. Thanks for having me.
Always, always. For me, yeah, Bills. It was unfortunate. I did want them to win, and and that quarterback seemed like he had ice in the veins in the start of it, Josh Allen. But then at the end, he was the rookie that he was, sort of in a sense. He just boneheaded plays there at the end, clock management issues, field awareness, whether that's a coaching thing or him thing, whatever. It's like, what the are you doing, sort of thing. So that's unfortunate. But I do see big things on the horizon for the Bills, whether or not Brady leaves New England. But as always, you can follow me on the socials as I show throughout all the time. You're welcome to follow this show specifically at talking_Packers. My personal handle is at army_strong_06. There it is. And you can find me on the Instagram at StephenK_06. You can Snapchat me if you want to at StevieK_06. Trying to be there, trying to be on there more often. And of course, I like to promote the next game whenever it is finally going to start. Who Done It Double Vision Season number 2, hosted by our friend Gavin. So looking forward to that when that happens. Thank you for all that did watch live. I did see a couple people come in. And those that will be watching archive, you're welcome to share your predictions or share your thoughts, whether agree or disagree with anything me and Ross said tonight here on the show. Enjoy the weather in your area. And above all else, as always, take care.